What is up, duelists? Arts and Crafts here, once again with your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! GOAT format action. Today's feature match, we've got House God versus www.123. I am not liable if you type that into your search bar and something comes up. I have no idea what that is, or if it is anything at all. Just putting that out there. But as always, they, as well as their opponent, are rated in the top 200 of the Dueling Book GOAT format ladder at the time this match was played. So let's hop into it. Looks like House God is going to take down the RPS. Will choose to go first. Makes complete sense to me. And they're going to lead out with a Toon Table of Contents. All right, so potentially a little bit of Reasoning Gate action here. That's generally what this card signifies. Definitely some sort of combo deck, most likely. They're going to Toon Table of Contents into another copy of itself. Play that one again to grab another copy of itself, because, of course, Toon Table of Contents is itself a Toon card. And then finally, we're going to grab a Toon Cannon Soldier, which is definitely the end part of this like little mini deck thinning combo for Reasoning Gate strategies. Toon Cannon Soldier being a really powerful option to dump cards into the graveyard to then turn on stuff like Chaos Monsters, which can be really nice to get stuff in the Banish Zone for like a big Dimension Fusion play. That's generally how these Reasoning Gate turbo decks act. And the Toon Table of Contents kind of package here gives you basically 4 cards in your deck in this scenario, 3 Table of Contents plus the 1 Cannon Soldier itself to get one of these enablers live. And it's also just a normal summon to get a monster on board to turn on things like Monster Gate as well. Obviously not 100% certain that this is Reasoning Gate, but definitely pretty likely it is the most common deck in the format that plays this Toon package. We're going to fire off an Upstart Goblin here as well after utilizing the whole Toon package to go for maximum deck thinning. Makes sense to me. And then we're going to set a back row pass. Not going to play that Cannon Soldier, just thinning out the deck there as much as possible, and then obviously can normal summon that next turn if they want to go for any sort of Monster Gate plays. WWW, you have a good amount of idea as to what your opponent is playing, so we'll see if that kind of colors their decision making here in turn 1. It looks like they have an Asura Priest in hand. Interesting. Not a card you always see main decked, but pretty solid against Scapegoat strategies, of course, is why you see this card played most of the time. Just going to get in for 1700 here, put a little bit of a clock on House God, but that will bounce back to their hand at the end of the turn, so I'm not going to be able to maintain any actual board presence here, which could be a little bit tough against the potential from a big combo here from House God. Going to set a couple back row passes there as well, though, so maybe that will kind of prove to be a speed bump for House God. We'll see, though. End phase, we're going to get Scapegoat out of House God, which will get monsters on board to potentially go for a Monster Gate, so pretty high chance that this is a Reasoning Gate list, is my guess. WWW having the Asura Priest in hand to deal with the Scapegoats here, but House God smartly waiting until their end phase to go for it so that they're guaranteed to have a monster on board on their phase, or on their turn. Although they will likely be answered by the Asura Priest next turn, so kind of got to use them now if you want to. See what the plan is, though. Get to draw phase. We're just going to fire off a Reasoning here. Okay, 1 Monster Zone left to use this, so totally fine. WWW has the interesting choice here of what to call. Probably you want to call... I guess... Yeah, Dark Magician of Chaos is just a good card to hit here. Because it can go and grab, like, Upstart, or just re-grab Reasoning, maybe. To continue to extend the combo. No point in really calling Sacred Crane here because they already have monsters on board, so calling 4 doesn't really do anything. The only thing... So you probably call 8 here if you're WWW. You could call 6 if you're worried about a Jinzo, though, if like your only interaction here are trap cards. We'll see what they go for here, though. You could also call 2 if you think it's Steingate, but that, your opponent hasn't really shown you that yet. And the fact that they're running the Toon package makes it more likely that it's just like traditional Reasoning Gate, I think. Naming 4, though, so just trying to hit a Sacred Crane. And we are going to flip into a Crane. Okay, so that will connect. But House God getting a Light and Dark dumped in Grave off of that Reasoning. So still getting some value there, even if they're technically going -1, because their opponent called it correctly. Follow-up player is just going to, of course, be a Monster Gate. House God going for that end phase Scapegoat, kind of showing that they had that card in hand. Not like WWW can do anything against that, of course. But Monster Gate's going to come down. Let's see. Ooh, we're going to Solemn the Monster Gate. Okay, so that's a pretty big play. House God whiffing the first Reasoning, and then their Monster Gate getting Solemned, costing them a card plus a Goat token. So card advantage positive play here for WWW. And nice for them that they have main deck Solemns. Pretty strong card to have against combo decks in the main. Now, interestingly, if you do have Solemn here, I feel like I much rather would have called 6 off of the Reasoning to prevent a potential Jinzo from coming down. But Monster 8 will get Solemned here. WWW will drop down to 4,500, which is a big chunk of life, but better than House God comboing off, of course. House God has a Graceful Charity to follow up as well. That will resolve. Let's see if they have anything good to discard. They discard that Toon Cannon Soldier, and then the third copy of Scapegoat. So finding all 3 of them early on here. Getting another monster engrave there. Interesting. Now, notably, you could banish the Chaos Sorcerer to summon a Chaos Monster. It is a dark, but Sork itself has never been summoned. So it's not a real Dimension Fusion target because it can't come back to the field if it was never summoned, correctly at first. This also opens up a play, getting another Dark Engrave. You could go like Monster Reincarnation for Chaos Sorcerer and then summon it by banishing the Cannon Soldier and the Crane. So maybe that's going to be the play there. So getting an extra Dark Engrave to make it so that they don't need to use the Sork. We'll see, though. I'm going to fire off a Reasoning here, so I must have found that off of the Graceful Charity. Now, WW, you probably really want to call 8 to not get the Demock. And we're going to see 8 get called there. And now House God flips into another copy of Sacred Crane. So that monster will hit the field and let them draw a card with its effect. Pretty nice for House God, although not the strongest board just yet. We're going to go Tribute Summon for Jinzo. Okay, so they had Jinzo in hand the whole time. At this point, nothing you can really do about it. So now all traps are negated for both players, but House God, of course, when you're playing RGT, as you can see, there are not too many traps in the deck, so you build your deck to make Jinzo a lot stronger. Definitely one of those decks in the format that can run Royal Decree as well. Jinzo hitting the board here is nice. Ooh, and then we can go ahead and summon out the Chaos Monster. Now that traps are negated, really safe play here. BLS is going to come down, and this is just lethal here. 5,400 damage, unless WWW has like a Scapegoat or something. Just going to go straight to battle phase, get in for lethal. We do have a Scapegoat out of WWW, though. Okay. So that will at least block a little bit of damage here. You'll be left with 1 Goat token, but that's enough that you need if you have like a Metamorphosis in hand. You go for a Thousand Eyes play, steal the BLS, speed over the Jinzo. So potentially stabilizing here, Scapegoat being a really nice non-trap card. Very strong against Reasoning Gate strategies to stop their OTK. Yeah. And then Metamorphosis is also, into Thousand Eyes is also a really, really strong play against these Reasoning Gate strategies. So yeah, going to block the OTK and then potentially stabilize from here. House God just leaving the 1 token, right? BLS kills 1, effect trigger to kill a second one. Jinzo kills the 3rd, leaving the single Go token. And I'm going to pass with no back row, so Metamorphosis would be huge here for WWW if they have it. A lot of other ways you can deal with this as well, of course. Tribe Infecting Virus is a nice one as well, okay. House God's board just complete Sitting Ducks here. We're going to go discard that Asura Priest. Obviously, could have used that to clear out the Go tokens, but you can just do this with the Tribe anyway. So let's see. We're going to call Warrior first, kill the BLS. We're going to call Beast next, kill all of the Goat tokens. That will kill your own Goat token, notably, as well. Discarding a Light and Dark, though, so potentially setting up for a little bit of Chaos stuff here. You could now just go summon Chaos, banish the Jinzo, and attack him with the Tribe, for example, which would be a pretty nice play. Yeah, so sets up for Chaos there. Someone's BLS of their own. And yeah, Scapegoat being basically the one card WWW could have had there to prevent House God from achieving that OTK. And that bought them enough time to just completely wipe House God's board. And now they're going crazy here with Tribe plus BLS, wipe your board and get in for 1 million damage. And is this lethal? This is 36, 52. Okay, no, so you're short by about 1,100. But a lot of damage coming in here on House God. Dropping them down, yeah. Dropping them down to 1,100. Passing with lethal on board. Really strong turn here from WWW. You can see, like I'm saying, the strength of Scapegoat, not only in Reasoning Gate decks, but also against Reasoning Gate decks. And now House God's super backed up against the wall here. Once your combo gets, usually Reasoning Gates, they have enough gas for 1 big combo turn. They went for it, but got stymied. And now it's really not looking too good for them. Let's see, though. We're going to go Lightning Vortex. Okay, pretty good draw. Discarding a Dimension Fusion, which is now dead. So, yeah, WWW smartly going for a play that puts House God underneath 2,000 life points so that Dimension Fusion, one of the strongest cards in the deck, is not able to be played. So it'll just be have to use as discard fodder here for the Lightning Vortex, which is a nice 2-for-2 trade. So this does actually simplify the board state and answer the lethal monsters if it resolves. Yeah, no Solemns here for WWW. So Tribe and BLS will both hit the grave, and House God has one card left. Just going to pass, though. Has Chaos Live, of course, but maybe just doesn't have it. You are sitting at just 1,100 life points, though, so a lot of top decks left in WWW's deck here to maybe come through and deal with this. Jar of Greed here to potentially find one as well. Let's see. We're just going to go set a back row pass, so not finding a monster, and we're just in top deck territory for both players. WWW with the advantage, though, because they're at a pretty healthy 4,500 life, while House God is just chilling at 1,100 and is dead to a lot of top decks from WWW. Let's see. They find a back row. End phase Jar of Greed for WWW makes a lot of sense to play around potential Royal Decree here. Might as well just blow it now. You got 3 cards in end. You got Heavy Storm to clear out the back row. It's a Jar of Greed that House God will chain, so they go up a card there. But you probably Heavy Storm here if you're WWW just to, get rid of the back row and force through an attack with a monster. No, okay, so just interesting play. Going for the heavy there. What are you scared of? Like, why would you not save the heavy for when you want to push for game? Kind of an interesting play to me, because like Scapegoat is obviously just Shanwell. Well, they don't have any scapegoats anyway. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I guess maybe you could Heavy Storm here in case they have a Royal Decree set, and then they can't chain it to whatever other back row you want to play, is the idea. But you end up just going minus a card here. So you better hope this set here is something really good to make that risk worth it. House God here, 3 cards in hand, 4,500 life points to get through for game. Let's see. They have a Monster Reincarnation with a live BLS engrave, because it has been summoned this game, so they can grab it back. And they still have Light and Dark engrave as well, so a potential big play here. WWW, can you negate this? Going to discard a Monster Gate, which makes sense. You have nothing on board right now, so pretty dead. Going to go grab that BLS, of course. We will summon BLS, banishing the last Light engrave for that. And then we will... Ooh, United We Stand, just to bump it up to 3,800? That's not lethal. So interesting, huh? Yeah, I mean, I guess you're not going to Monster Gate away your BLS. Unless you just like really want to find the DMOC. That's actually an interesting play. Depends on what monsters are left in your deck, but there's a decent chance that if you Monster Gate this BLS, it'll hit a DMOC. And that would probably win you the game based on some of the stuff you could grab. But choosing to keep the United We Stand instead of the Monster Gate here, obviously the Monster Gate play a lot weaker to Solemn. But this play is weak to Solemn anyway, because your BLS is just dead. So choosing to keep the United We Stand is an interesting choice, because it's not like it pushes you into lethal territory. It's just a 3,800 beater coming in, which will drop WWW pretty low, but not the end of the world. WWW has another copy of Scapegoat here anyway. Okay, interesting. So not having a trap to set last turn makes the heavy to try and clear out the back row a little bit weirder. But I guess maybe it could be a Mystical Space Typhoon. Maybe it could be a Dust Tornado, and you don't want your Scapegoat to get sniped in the end phase, is the idea. So just investing, going down a card to ensure that their Scapegoat can resolve here, to try and buy some time, I guess makes sense. And now you get to fill up the board with Scapegoat tokens, prevent this BLS from attacking it again. We'll be able to clear out 2 tokens a turn with its effect, though, so not the strongest wall you'll ever see, but will buy you at least a good amount of time here. Ooh, and we have Creature Swap for game. Okay, there you go. So yeah, I guess WWW seeing this play in the future, I think they had that Creature Swap in hand, right? Because they didn't shuffle their hand up when they top decked. So going for the long con, Heavy Storm to ensure their Scapegoat would resolve, so that they would have monsters on board for a Creature Swap if House God were to summon a threat. Pretty much any threat that House God could summon would be lethal here if stolen, right? Because I don't think there's a single deck in a standard Recent Engate Turbo list with less than 1,100 attack. Maybe Visor Shock if you're playing it. Maybe the odd list that runs Sinister Serpent. But yeah, playing a long con here, heavy to ensure the scapegoat resolves, scapegoat whatever threat they're going to summon, and then just creature swap it and attack for game. And there you go, WWW on either goat control or chaos control, kind of TBD, will take down game one against good old Reasoning Gate Turbo here from House God. And pretty bad start, honestly, for the combo deck. Sort of like rogue weird combo decks like Reasoning Gate, like Empty Jar, like even like Burn strategies. They very much thrive on winning game one before the opponent can side in all of their hate cards that they probably have for the matchup. So Reasoning Gate being unable to win game one means that they're actually pretty unlikely to win this match at this point, because WWW now only has to win one of the two games post side. They're guaranteed to go first at least once, and they get to play two games with their full side deck hate, deployed. So not a great start here for House God, unfortunately. They did have an OTK lined up, but you saw the power of Scapegoat here against these OTK strategies. And then WWW was just able to wipe the board and get down to a top deck situation where that they were able to win with a classic Scapegoat plus creature swap combo to steal the game-winning monster. Game 2, though, House God will at least be able to go first here as the combo deck. That's pretty nice. Let's see what their play is. Just going to set a couple back row pass. Sure. You can't attack turn one, so generally Reasoning Gate decks, unless they really want to like get out of Jinzo or something, will opt to not really go for any combo stuff turn one, because they can't attack for game there. WWW has a T-set pass. Okay, so getting a monster on board is nice to kind of potentially wall some stuff out. Back row to give House God something to think about as well. Let's see what the plays. Just going to draw pass. Okay, so maybe a little bit bricked here. No draw cards. Nothing to really interact. And that's a pretty good start here for WWW, with House God just not really having a lot going on. They have a Gravekeeper Spy here too, which is really nice, because as the non-combo player in this matchup, you are usually the player with inevitability, or without inevitability. Reasoning Gate generally kind of has the inevitability here, because at some point they will be able to have enough cards to combo off, summon a big board, and really control it down from there most of the time. So it's good to apply pressure as the non-Reasoning Gate player to kind of force them to maybe combo off early, suboptimally, and make it easier for you to answer and deal with. And Spy is one of the most effective ways in these Chaos decks to pressure early on in the game. This is 2,400 damage coming through as early as turn 2, which is really nice. And they might even, they still have a normal summon if they want to apply even more pressure. And Reasoning Gate decks often will not run the board sweepers like Mirror Force and Torrential Tribute, so it's pretty safe to just go all out offensive here if you want. You're really not going to be punished most of the time for going for this. Yeah. Double attack position. Spy. Ooh, okay, so House God does just have the Torrential Tribute. It is just going to be a 1-for-1 trade in the end, right? Basically just trading Torrential for one Spy. But nice play out of House God here to prevent them from getting clocked this early on. Unless WWW has another monster to normal summon here. No, they're just going to set up a new monster, set a back row pass. So aggression stopped here for House God now, but they still have another threat to worry about potentially next turn. See if they draw into any gas. We're going to get Standby Phase Trap Dust Shoot. Really good card against Reasoning Gate. Rip away their normal summons, make it harder for them to go for Monster Gate stuff. Can rip out their Chaos monsters as well, because those are pretty important combo pieces towards them to set up those big, valuable Dimension Fusions. So we'll see what House God is rocking here. Their hand is Token Thanksgiving, Graceful Charity, Heavy Storm, Toon Cannon Soldier, Ceasefire, Chaos Sorcerer. Okay, so they do not have any sort of combo stuff live right now. No Reasonings, no Monster Gates. They do have Heavy Storm to set up for that, and a Toon Cannon Soldier to get them a monster on board to turn their Monster Gates on. But besides that, not the strongest hand. Graceful, of course, can pretty quickly draw them into some good stuff. But if you're WWW, you probably send back the Toon Cannon Soldier to make it harder for them to establish a monster and make one of their big combo pieces live. They're going to send back the Sork. That's pretty interesting because it's very much not live at the moment. I guess maybe worried that they'll hit a light off of Graceful. Well, they'd have to hit a light and a dark off of Graceful to make the Sork live. So that's kind of an interesting choice. I feel like I would prefer just getting rid of the monsters that they can play right this turn, right? So we'll see if this ends up being the right call. We'll see if WWW gets punished for this. But Sword gets sent back. You know, there's Ceasefire to potentially answer your set monster, which could be annoying. You also can play around Heavy Storm and Token Thanksgiving here as well. Cool. Jar of Greed from House God Go gets them at least another unknown card, which is pretty nice. Now they can probably fire up that Graceful to pitch some more of their known cards. Pretty good. They're going to discard the Toon Cannon Soldier and the Sacred Grain, so getting Chaos set up already. I wonder if they drew into another Sork regardless. Okay, we found Toon Table of Contents. Surely you're not playing multiple copies of Toon Cannon Soldier, though. So this is probably just to thin the deck of all the Table of Contents that are still left into it. I guess that's fine. Yeah, just end with one of those in hand. The kind of end card of that package is obviously in the grave, so just thinning the deck as much as possible there. And then we're just going to set a back row pass. Okay. So yeah, not really able to find any gas off that Graceful. Setting up Chaos for future turns, but hey, maybe sending back that Sork actually ended up being a decent call. Because now they can't summon it. So nice play there from WWW. We're going to get End-Phase Raigeki Break. Discarding a Sinister Serpent, so getting just a nice 1-for-1 trade here. We're going to pop the set, which was a Scapegoat. Yeah, so really nice play there. Anytime you can snipe a Scapegoat against really any Scapegoat deck before it can resolve is really strong, because Scapegoat decks tend to really like it when their Scapegoats resolve. So this is a really high value Raigeki Break here to prevent House God from getting monsters on board. You know, potentially they were banking on Scapegoat being their monster for a potential Monster Gate, which is why they discarded 2 normal summons here. So maybe running them out completely of monsters here to go for the combos. And now they're just super bricked up, potentially, for WWW to start really applying pressure. So nice play there. Fortunate Raigeki Break. Get to re-grab that Sinister Serpent in the standby phase as well. And we're just going to go set 3 monsters. Oh, and we're going to flip summon Morphing Jar. Okay, so Morphing Jar for value. Going to set the full hand and then discard both players' hand, go up to 5 cards. So this is a nice little +4 for WWW here. House God probably, I mean, this isn't a deck that has a lot of interaction anyway, so likely could not have answered the Morphing Jar regardless. But definitely not playing around that at all. Lots of spell cards in hand that are just going to have to hit the grave now. And this is just a massive amount of advantage for WWW pretty early on in this game. Oh, and there, yeah, this is a +5, right? Because they have the Sinister in hand. Forgot about that. So they just get a clean +5 off of this Morphing Jar. That's insane. Holy. Yep, get a nice full grip of cards. House God. Interestingly, why would you not... Ooh, why would you not set the Ceasefire there? Right? Yeah, so I said as a Reasoning Gate deck, you probably don't have a lot of interaction for these set monsters. But surely when your opponent has a set monster face down, and they know you have the Ceasefire in hand because they just dust shooted you, you got to just use the Ceasefire now so that they can't play around it later. Like, they set this Morphing Jar without knowing that you had the Ceasefire in hand, whereas every monster they set from now until you use it, they know that you have the Ceasefire to maybe negate it, so they can always just bait it out. So I feel like you have to just use the Ceasefire here. Like, what are you holding it for? You know what I mean? And now it's just going to get Morphing Jarred away, and WWW is just in an amazing position now, going +5 off of this resolution. You get rid of the Heavy Storm too, which is really solid. As well as that Sork. So they did draw another Sork off of the Graceful Charity, and chose not to use it as well. And yeah, that's a really, really big swing here in WWW's favor. That could have been avoided if we just saw Ceasefire come down and prevent this Morphing Jar from getting activated. All right. So now WWW, really good spot, like I'm saying. Can start clocking them a little bit with the Morphing Jar. 700 damage a turn, ain't nothing. And then we're going to set a couple more back row pass. You know Heavy Storm is in the grave, so you can kind of set things freely. So totally fine. All right, House God, really up against it now. You do at least have a nice full hand of 6 cards with a nice full graveyard of stuff. You know, Chaos is Live, for example. So you're not in a terrible position. You are down a lot of cards, but you were pretty bricked before, so maybe WWW is unbricking you by Morphing Jar, by using that Morphing Jar. We'll see, though. They found a reasoning. Okay, so that's one combo piece that they found off the Morphing Jar. WWW, yeah, definitely want to call 8 here. It'd be pretty catastrophic if they just find a heavy... They go into Demock, grab Heavy Storm, wipe out your entire back row, and then all your advantage off that Morphing Jar is pretty much gone. Unless they just wanted to go for some combo stuff as well. They call 8, though, and they flip into a Jinzo. Okay, so this could also be pretty big. Jinzo hitting the board, negating all the potential traps that WWW might be playing, and this is apparently a deck that plays a lot of them. Sometimes Go Control or Chaos Control lists are very trap light, and they go for like a Royal Decree setup, but we saw WWW is main decking at least one Solemn Judgment, so they seem to be a little bit more trap-heavy version of the deck. So Jinzo is actually going to probably get a lot of value here. It's going to come down, shut off all those traps, make it a little bit safer for House God to go for some more risky plays here. We'll see how they follow it up. Just going to normal summon Sacred Crane, and then Monster Gate away the Sacred Crane. Yeah, so using the normal summon to get a non-Jinzo monster on the board as fodder for their Monster Gate. Definitely don't want to be Monster Gating away your Jinzo into a full back row, because it's probably getting a lot of virtual card advantage here. Crane will spin into Dark Magician of Chaos. There you go. Show me the Heavy Storm. Or do you grab Dimension Fusion? Gonna depend on what's in the hand, but so many good things in grave. There's Pot of Greed. You can go for another... If you have Dimension Fusion in hand, you can go for another Monster Gate, banishing the Demock and then defusion it back. Really, really strong plays here available for House God, finding this Demock off the Monster Gate. And super solid position here. Would not be surprised to see them like really turn this game around this turn, even though WWW was able to resolve that +5 off of Morphing Jar. Let's see. So Demock is going to grab, let's see, a lot of choices. Heavy Storm, I love it. Just go for value. Who needs this combo crap? Let's just Heavy Storm him. Gonna play that Storm. WWW will chain a Scapegoat, which could be annoying, but we know House God has at least one token Thanksgiving, so they might just say, thank you very much, give me the 3,200 life points. We'll see if they're running the multiple copies, though. Scapegoat will come down, though. And you hit... Holy, you hit double Metamorphosis, Snatch Steal, Mystical Space Typhoon. So no traps, actually. So Jinzo actually was not doing anything, which is kind of funny. But you get a nice big +3 off of this Heavy Storm, which is really strong. And now the back row is cleared. There's some goat tokens in the way of you, but that is just a massive swing. Super back and forth game here. WWW going +5 off of a Morphing Jar. House God going right back with a Demock into a Heavy Storm on a full back row. Sheesh! And it's probably not over here for House God just yet. Has Chaos Live, of course. Let's see what the play is. A lot of permutations to go through here. We're going to go Book of Moon on the Morphing Jar. Are we going to pop the Morphing Jar again for fun? I love it. Going to set a couple back row. Yeah, so empty out the hand for another Morphing Jar. And I love this. House God saying, you think you can go +5 off of Morphing Jar? Let me go +5 off of Morphing Jar. I mean, it's not... I guess it's more of like a +3 because you get 5 cards and your opponent gets 2 cards. But still, what a turnaround here after that insane Morphing Jar resolution to just force it again on your turn where you can take advantage of it is pretty strong. Yeah, Jinzo's going to beat over this Morphing Jar. Oh, and you hit the Karibo too. Really powerful sideboard option. Side deck option, sorry, I should say. My Magic the Gathering is leaking. Really powerful side deck option against Reasoning Gate, and that will hit the grave here. Okay, and let's see what else you hit. You hit a Graceful Charity too, with a Sinister Engrave to get max value off of it. And a Cyber Jar. What a crazy Morphing Jar. Oh man, you just like ripped away some of the best cards for WWW out of their hand. And that is an amazing Morphing Jar resolution. You get another nice full grip of 5 cards. Demock can kill a Go token, sure. And now at the end of the day, definitely advantage House God here. Pretty massive board. Has to spend some time to eat through these Go tokens. I guess the hope was the Morphing Jar would spin you into another copy of Token Thanksgiving, maybe. But now WWW does have a pretty full board of stuff to do. Although Snatch Steal, one of the strongest cards for them, is in grave. All their traps are turned off unless they can deal with this Jinzo. So Advantage House God here, recovering from that pretty catastrophic Morphing Jar, but they haven't seen it through just yet. This is a pretty cool game so far, I would say. WWW gets to regrab the Sinister in the standby phase. They have a creature swap play here, switching their goat token to attack position first, so that it'll be, won't be able to block any life points when House God is able to attack in. They're going to give him the Jinzo, okay? Jinzo can go attack over that token. Definitely makes sense giving them the Jinzo, because Demok could then kill your Jinzo. You'd rather keep both of these on the board, I think. Jinzo will kill the Go token, deal 24 to House God, so that's not a bad play. Okay, and then we've got Tsukuyomi to flip the Jinzo face down to make traps live again. Okay, pretty nice play there. Creature swap plus Tsukuyomi to force the Jinzo to turn off while dealing a good chunk of damage. That's pretty nice. And now WWW, if you got a bunch of traps in hand, could be pretty solid here. So, all right, nice answer to this board that House God put together. But now they get a chance to crack back. And with a hand of 6 cards plus 2 back row, I'm sure that they have something cool to do here. Let's see. Gonna go Monster Gate. So we're gonna Monster Gate our Demok, getting into the Banish Zone off of its effect to set up for a potential Dimension Fusion. I don't hate it. Notably, WWW does not have any monsters banished here, so this is just a pure value defusion here if it comes down. This will resolve, though. We're going to spin into an Air Knight Parshaft, which is really nice when your opponent is sitting on a couple goat tokens. Will not be able to block off that piercing damage. Okay. Now, one thing to note is House God is pretty low on cards here. 6 cards left in deck. So every Monster Gate and every Reasoning is a little bit risky. But House God surely knows what monsters are left in their decks. They know exactly how risky it will be. Finding this Air Knight here is actually pretty nice, though. And then sets up for a Chaos play. We're going to go for a Chaos Sorcerer here. Cool. A way to just deal with the Jinzo, for example. Not too bad. Filling up the Banish Zone for more Dimension Fusion action as well. Dimension Fusion grabbing back Cannon Soldier, Sacred Crane, and Demok is pretty insane. So I would love to see that come through here for House God. Yeah, so they had a set Dimension Fusion, setting it last turn before they attacked into the Morphing Jar, because Defusion is like the best card in the deck, so definitely want to save that and not have it be discarded to the Morphing Jar effect. I like that play. Now they get to re-trigger their Sacred Crane and re-trigger their Demok if it resolves. If you have a Solemn here as WWW, you probably want to use it here, because this, I don't think you come back from this Defusion resolution. This is just insane value. So if you still have that Solemn, you probably want to use it. Yeah, so Solemning there definitely makes sense. House God still has one potential extra Dimension Fusion activation if they're running the full 3 copies, which they definitely could be. But WWW going all the way down to 4K when there's a piercing monster coming through is a little bit risky, but I think you have to Solemn that Dimension Fusion. That would have just been game-breaking if it was to resolve, so it's a hefty price to pay, but rather pay 4,000 life than pay 8,000 life by losing the game, I guess, right? No follow-up here from House God. We're just going to go to battle phase. Air Knight will beat over that token. Makes sense. Ooh, we have Raigeki Break out of WWW, though. So it still has that Sinister in hand to discard to pop the Air Knight. So not bad. And then Sork will kill the Jinzo. Okay, so that will come through. House God getting a nice +1 here. You are up a bunch of cards here as House God. You made a good amount of progress life point wise by forcing out that Solemn Judgment. But you have 2 goat tokens to get through and only 6 cards in deck. So the stall plan is potentially on here for WWW, even though House God is pretty clearly winning. Definitely still some plays left for our control player, though. Let's see. Main phase 2, House God is going to add a back row as well, passing with just the Sork on board, but that is a pretty strong monster to have. WWW can re-grab that Sinister Serpent. Reasoning Gate, not a deck that plays Trap Dust Shoot, so you are totally fine going up to 4 cards in hand with that Sinister. Ooh, and they do have a Thunder Dragon in hand. Must have drawn that for turn. That gets a Light Engrave, which is pretty massive, because we haven't seen any of their Chaos stuff come through. Also confirming that WWW is running Chaos Control here. But Chaos Control with Morphing Jar and Cyber Jar, not something you see every day, but it is pretty cool. Morphine Jar being the star of this game, of course, so far. Both players activating it or forcing the activation of it to their great advantage at different points during this game. So for as a neutral, it's cool that Morphine Jar is in this deck because it's gotten to do some cool things this game. Thunder Dragon will come through though for WWW. Gonna grab a couple copies of that card and then get a Light Engrave as well for some potential Chaos plays. We're just gonna set a monster pass though. Definitely could just be that Sinister Serpent trying to wall some stuff off. Good targets in Grave for like Magician of Faith though, which of course Chaos Control decks often play. We'll see how House God can deal with some of these unknowns here. Let's see what the play is. I guess that is not a new back row, so unlikely that it is at least Mirror Force. Otherwise, they Mirror Force the Air Knight plus Sork attacks last turn. So you probably know you don't have to worry about that if you're House God. Maybe they Torrential last turn when the Sork hits the board, but maybe not if they had the Raigeki break to deal with the Air Knight. So it could very well be Torrential. Could be a lot of things, I guess. Could be another Raigeki break. Could maybe even be like Ring of Destruction. House God, though, let's see. Oh, they have the third copy of Dimension Fusion. Okay, so will this resolve? Because once again, just like last turn, really juicy banish zone here for House God to get back off this Dimension Fusion. You'll drop down to 900 life, but there's just so much value here that it's definitely worth doing. Even if it puts you into range of losing to a ring, I guess. Let's see. This will resolve, so no Solemn out of WWW. Ring for game is real, but you do get your Demock and your Crane back, so you can trigger those effects for value. Really juicy stuff in Grave for the Demock to grab. You do have to worry about getting decked out here, so Pot, Reasoning, Monster Gate, and Graceful are all a little bit scary. But depends on what's left in your deck, of course. Gonna grab Giant Trunade. Ooh, okay, so just looking to clear out the back row in case there's a really small chance that it is like a Mirror Force. I'm pretty sure it's not, but I definitely don't hate the play. At least you can force them to use whatever it is in main phase 1, so you can kind of plan the rest of your turn around around knowing what that back row would have been if it gets chained. Yeah, probably you don't want to grab Heavy Storm here because you probably want whatever your 2 back row are. So I think Trunade is a good call. Ooh, and then we're going to chain Torrential Tribute. Okay. So that actually is pretty good. And yeah, that is one thing that I said was definitely in WWW's range. Was there's a good chance that because they had that Raigeki break last turn, they felt safe enough that they didn't have to Torrential when the Sork hit the board. And saving it for the potential third copy of Dimension Fusion, which House God did play. And now this Torrential Tribute is pretty insane, especially if they have Sinister Serpent set. And House God could be left with 900 life points and no monsters on the board, which would be a really, really solid position for the Chaos Control player. Crane Effect still gets to resolve. Oh, it's going to come down, wipe the board. It was a Sangan set here, so even better for WWW, because now they can search up whatever they want off the little critter. We'll see what they grab. Oh, whoopsie. They grab a Magician of Faith with a nice juicy graveyard. Definitely makes sense to me. House God here. Ooh, okay, so we do have the empty board here now, though. Doesn't need to use the Trunade to bounce things. We have Monster Reincarnation to regrab probably Chaos Sorcerer. If you're running 3 copies, double Sork is game. There's one Kuriboh engraved from WWW. They probably aren't running multiple copies. Usually it's just a one of if played at all in the side deck. So could grab something good here. Pitching a Reasoning off the Monster Reincarnation because probably not too many monsters left in the deck at this point. Gonna grab a Sork. Can definitely play it. We go Sork number 1. Show me BLS. Show me Sork number 2. No, we're just gonna beat him for 23. Going for the turn 2 clock with the Sork, which might just be the best you can do here. WWW has a lot of cards here to answer this. But importantly, if you're House God... Oh, your ring is engraved, though. So you can't ring for the tie even if you wanted to. I was going to say getting WWW into ring to tie the game range would be pretty big. But now I think this Sork will probably just get walled out. Because WWW just has so many cards. But maybe House God can make this final stand here with this Sork and will have some sort of play. 4 cards left in deck, by the way. WWW has a Delinquent Duo, which is going to drop into 700 life points. Really risky duo, but saying, okay, I think if I can wall out your Sork, there's nothing you can really do to me. Okay. And they, like I said, they know that there's no ring to worry about. Hitting Snatch Steal is pretty big. Okay. Snatch is gone. That's one decent out to a lot of stuff that WWW could play here. And then House God going to discard that Trunade. I think that makes sense. Nothing really to deal with in the back row right now. And then we're just going to set a Monster Pass. Is the plan just wall out with Magician of Faith and stuff? What is in their hand? That this is all they can do? No back row? Crazy. So House God loses. If this is just set Magician of Faith or set Sinister Servant, 2 cards we know that are in hand, they just lose to any monster, killing it and then Sork for game. No back row here, not even trying to bluff anything. And can House God just go for the win here? I thought it would have been easy to just deal with the lone Sork. I thought House God was pretty much out of gas, but might just have a chance to win here. Let's see. Okay, did we top deck BLS for game? Holy, okay. Show me Karibo. Wow, that's game 2. Goes to House God. I thought they were just completely out of gas here, but top deck BLS for game is pretty solid. And going for that pretty desperate Sork turn 2 clock play ended up working out. Really crazy back and forth game there that saw 2 Morphing Jar resolutions. House God going through pretty much their entire deck, then getting board wiped by a Torrential Tribute, but then rebuilding with Chaos Monsters to clear out the game. And wow, game 2 to Reasoning Gate, and that was a pretty good one. Game 3, though, Chaos Control will be able to go first, at least, for WWW. So we'll see if any of their post-side tech can kind of come in useful that game, because they really didn't do, like, their Karibo got pitched. They didn't seem like they had too much anti-Reasoning Gate stuff in their deck besides the Karibo, and maybe, like, if they're not main decking Torrential or something that comes in, which is pretty often the case. But, didn't really see anything super duper juicy outside of that Karibo. But maybe just going first it will be enough. Leading out with Duo might be enough here as well. Turn 1 is definitely a lot better than playing when you only have 1700 life left. But you're going to be able to rip out 2 cards from House God's hand, make their combo stuff a lot less likely. Really solid opening. Going to hit a Heavy Storm, which is nice. Okay, so one of the back row clearers is now gone. The most effective back row clearer is gone for House God. And they will discard a Book of Moon, which is kind of a luxury card as well. So not a key combo piece, just a little bit of interaction. Probably a side deck card. Pitching, I think it makes sense. WWW also opened the Thunder Dragon here. So, ooh, they opened double Thunder Dragon, though. Okay, so Duo coming in is pretty nice. Opening Duo, really nice against RGT. But opening Duo plus double Thunder Dragon kind of cancels out, because now you just have 2 dead Thunder Dragons in hand. And are down an extra card. So pretty kind of a medium roll, very volatile, some good, some bad sort of opening hand here. And we'll see if they're able to find a Graceful or something to get rid of these Thunder Dragons. Otherwise, this might be a pretty good opportunity for House God to go for some stuff. It's going to get a couple set back row here for WWW. House God, let's see. No Dust Shoot. Going to play a Graceful Charity. That'll get Solemn Judgment, though. So WWW saying, I've got 2 dead Thunder Dragons in my hand. I cannot afford for you to combo off right now, because I probably cannot stop it. So we're going to Solemn the Graceful, and then hope House God just doesn't have anything else really to do here. Let's see, and you dropped a 3,500 already, which is a BLS plus United We Stand away from death, like we saw in Game 1. We know House God is running those cards. Gonna set a back row pass here, though. So it looks like they did need that Graceful to go into some combo stuff, which makes sense. So Solemning it, potentially the right play to just kind of gum up the works. We'll see. WWW really needs to stick a threat here and start clocking the opponent, though. Otherwise, they're going to get really punished by opening double Thunder Dragon. Just a back row here, though. Of course, one of these sets could be a Scapegoat, which would be really nice to stall stuff out. House God here. Going to set a back row pass, so both players not really having too much going on. Definitely can happen in a control versus combo deck that got hit by Duo and then had their Graceful Charity Solemned matchup. specifically, right? Ooh, Top Deck Graceful from WWW, which is the perfect card that they needed. Best card in the deck to see right now to cash in these Thunder Dragons and unbrick their hand. And House God, yeah, not running any Solemns. This will resolve. Discard those Thunder Dragons, and now you have 4 real cards if you're WWW, and you've just ratcheted yourself up into a pretty solid position with that pretty nice top deck. So just going to pass, though. Okay. So maybe not actually drawing into anything crazy good. You know, there's no Darks Engraved, so hand could be bricked on Chaos here. Could be classic Chaos Control bricking stuff where you have, like, Metamorphosis but not Scapegoat. Chaos but no Lights or Darks Engraves, that sort of thing. Where, like, the two halves of the deck might not be getting drawn together such that you actually have relevant plays. Chaos Control can definitely just kind of lose to itself sometimes like that, which is why they really like when they can stall out games and make that less likely to be an issue. But we'll see if House God can mount any sort of offense here, because that would be the perfect way to start punishing WWW for this pretty slow start of their own, especially now that they're all the way down to 3,500 life points. Thanks to good old Delinquent Duo plus Solemn Judgment. 2 very strong cards in the format, of course, but can be pretty pricey, especially when you're playing against potential OTK stuff like Reasoning Gate. House God here still has nothing, though. Just draw go. Ooh, WWW finds a breaker here. A couple of back row to potentially snag with this. We're just going to get immediate Book of Moon out of House God here, though, to set it, prevent their other back row from getting sniped. Totally fair. Its breaker will still stick around to apply pressure on later turns if it's not removed. But it is, for WW, also kind of a +1, basically trading Book of Moon for the breaker token. So it's like House God losing half a card for this. So not the best, but definitely worth protecting this back row if you think it's something really good here. Just going to add another one to the board and pass here as well. So pretty bricked. Definitely wanted that Graceful to resolve, of course. So nice Solemn there out of WWW to just buy a lot of time. Going to go flip Summon Breaker here, start beating in for 16. And this is looking pretty good for WWW at this point. Sticking a clock, House God is pretty bricked. And so applying pressure means that they, are running out of time to find something playable. Adding another set monster here as well, so the threats are coming down. Let's see if House God can pull themselves out of this. Mind Control, okay, so definitely worried about potential Magician of Faith. A lot of juicy stuff in Grave for a Faith to potentially grab. If it is Faith, you can also grab a Graceful Charity of your own, which would be really nice. Surely WWW does not have another Solemn for a second Graceful Charity, right? Let's see what we hit. It is a Gravekeeper Spy. Okay, so not as high value of a Mind Control as it would be if you snagged a Magician of Faith. Reasoning Gate, not the sort of deck that runs spies of their own, so this is actually a pretty low value Mind Control, unfortunately, for House Good. So another small win here for WWW, basically a -1 for House God. Just going to set a back row, flip the Spy to prevent it from summoning another friend, and then pass. Sure. This is 2 threats, though. 3,800 damage, or 2,800 damage a turn, ain't no joke. House God will drop down to 3,600, and now facing a turn 2 clock, and another back row from WWW. So House God here really hasn't had anything going here since their Graceful got Solemned, and now you're dead in 2 turns, so you really got to find some action here. Otherwise, it will be GG. Just finding another back row, gonna set it pass, and face MST. It's gonna snipe that. Okay. Hitting a Mirror Force, oof. So House God actually having a defensive card here to deal with this clock, but it's just getting sniped by MST. Interesting card to keep in against Chaos Control, by the way, but I guess I can see it being important, especially if they're trying to be aggressive here with stuff like Breakers and Spies. Let's see. Ooh, top deck Pot of Greed. Yeah, WWW has just top decked, I mean, pretty late in the game, but completing full Trinity here is really, really bad for House God. You're going to go up an extra card, still have these monsters to pressure. And yeah, I think it's looking, yeah, and this is just lethal here. No Mirror Force to worry about as well. Playing into Torrential, perhaps. But just going for game here, even if you get Torrential, you're still up a million cards. So totally fine to go run out this tribe and try and hit for game. House God, do you have any interaction here, or is it just going to be GG? Ooh, Torrential will come down, so that is a nice little defensive card here. So House God not out for the count just yet. bunch of monsters hitting the grave. Notably, it does turn on Chaos, getting a couple Darks in grave for WWW. But they do not have any Chaos follow-up here. And House God, their Mirror Force got popped, but they were able to resolve a Torrential to release a little bit of the pressure here. We'll see if they can mount an offense, though, because up to this point, they've been unable to. Yeah, just draw go again. You're playing the defense game okay, I guess, but unable to really find anything. And, sometimes these Reasoning Gate decks just kind of lose to themselves, right? Maybe going a little bit too hard on the interaction here, right? We see Heavy Storm, Book of Moon, Mind Control, Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute. None of the cards that actually progress your own game state. All, decent things to deal with what WWW is doing, but you are a combo deck at the end of the day. So maybe, I'm not saying it's wrong to have all these cards, but really unfortunate that you're just drawing all of your interaction and none of your combo pieces. Right. WWW, 3,600 life for House God for you to get through. Just going to set a couple back row pass there, though. No Heavy Storm to worry about, so it's pretty safe to do this. But not able to find a threat just yet, so we'll give House God a little bit of time to draw into some stuff. We're going to get a Trap Dust Shoot here. They're going all the way up to 4 cards in hand, and that will come through. House God's hand. Ooh, we have a dead BLS, no monsters in grave. A dead Premature Burial, no monsters in grave. A dead Token Thanksgiving. And a Reasoning that they just found. Okay, so BLS will be shuffled back here off the Dust Shoot. But it looks like House God was able to find at least a starter here in the form of Reasoning. So we'll see if this can flip into anything good. Maybe dump some stuff in the grave. Let's see. Yeah, BLS gets sent back. It's totally fine. Gonna follow up with that Reasoning, of course. WWW, there's no Monster Gate in hand, so getting rid of Sacred Crane is probably not as big a deal as, preventing a Democ from coming down would be. So you probably want to call 8 here. Or maybe 6, because Jinzo's a threat as well. Depends on what your back row is. Naming 4, though, so just saying, okay, I don't want you to have a monster on board. And they flip into a Tribe-Infecting Virus. Okay, definitely a card that Reasoning Gate can side deck sometimes. But unfortunately, it is a redundant number with Sacred Crane, which is something that these decks like to call... your opponents will likely call off of Reasoning a lot of the time anyway. So, from that perspective, not the most ideal monster to have deck building wise. It is quite strong if you can summon it to potentially deal with, Thousand Eyes Restricts or Scapegoat tokens or things like that. But unfortunately, whiffing the Reasoning here, and we know that was really... Well, I guess House God still has Premature Burial in hand. So maybe you just want a Premature Burial and get the 3-turn clock with the Tribe? That doesn't seem like the strongest play, but it's better than the nothing you have going for yourself right now. House God not going to go for it, though. Going to save the Premature for a rainy day. But that was your one combo piece so far this game, so sucks to see that just hit the grave and fizzle out. And nice win there, again, for WWW, making the right call off their Reasoning. Jar of Greed for WWW. We're going to go slam down some Chaos, try and get aggressive. Okay, finds a BLS. There's no Mirror Force or Torrential to worry about, so this is pretty safe. And we are going to go get in for 300. Ooh, Scapegoat out of House God. This is important, right? Because we know House God has Premature Burial in hand. So now, if the BLS connected and they went down to 600, Premature for Tribe would no longer be live. But now that they have the Scapegoat, they can protect their life points. Premature for Tribe answering this BLS is now a play you can go for. And that's actually pretty strong. So Scapegoat coming in clutch here for House God. Protecting their life and keeping some of their big damage cards alive. Also importantly, keeping them above 2,000 for Dimension Fusion, which is another very strong card, as we've seen so far this match. WWW has an interesting choice here, though. You could try and Goat Lock your opponent by not killing any of the tokens, and then if they go Premature for Tribe, they have Goat Locked themselves. Tribe is, I guess, a threat at this point, but maybe you could have kind of tried to stymie some of their combo stuff by filling up their monster zones. Looks like they're not going to, though. They're going to go for the more aggressive option. Clear up 2 of the tokens, and then hope to answer this Tribe that's probably coming through next turn. WWW setting a back row there. I would love to see True Nade from House God. That would be really good from them. We're just going to fire off that Premature, though. Go and grab Tribe. Raigeki break, though, for WWW. Discarding a Scapegoat, signifying that they probably have another one set. FYI, if you're House God. But preventing the Premature from reviving that tribe. And in that case, if you had an out to the Premature, definitely attacking the Goat tokens makes sense because you just want to kill your opponent quickly. The Goat Lock wasn't even going to come through anyway because you were going to prevent it. So definitely like that play. And yeah, House God unfortunately didn't have a Trunade or anything to clear out the back row before they could go for that Premature play. And BLS will stick around and continue to be a thorn on their side. They're just going to have to pass now. And now if WWW has any monster, they can kill a Goat token, BLS can kill the other Goat token, and then trigger its effect to attack directly for game, as that Premature Burial put them down to sub 3,000 life. So this might be last stand here for House God. We're going to get end phase, yeah, so as expected, discarding Scapegoat to the Raigeki break definitely signified that WWW had another Scapegoat on the field. So that will come out here in the end phase, filling up the board and actually preventing the play of summon a monster to go for game by killing both of the Goat tokens. But if you have Creature Swap, this is just lethal, right? Because you can go, as we've seen earlier this game, do the cute thing where you turn a Goat to attack position and then Creature Swap the attack position Goat over to your opponent, and you can attack over it with BLS for game. So maybe they don't have a monster, but they do have a Creature Swap. And so this will be the play to finish off the game for them. Let's see, yeah, as expected, Scapegoat plus Creature Swap for game. Yeah, BLS is going to kill it. House God's back row was a Ceasefire, which wasn't going to do too much. And there you have it, yeah, Chaos Control, taking it down 2-1 versus Reasoning Gate. Definitely because Reasoning Gate lost game 1, I said right then and there, it's going to be really tough for them to pull this game out. But they definitely made it close, actually winning game 2 in a crazy back-and-forth match with double Morphing Jar resolutions. But game 3 here, getting hit with Duo really early, just getting kind of super bricked up there. House God was able to apply some pressure, or I mean WWW was able to eventually apply some pressure even though they bricked on their own by opening double Thunder Dragon, but they found the Graceful first and had the Solemn for House God's Graceful. So ended up being whoever could resolve the first Graceful Charity won the game. WWW was able to do that, and then just found some threats, applied pressure, forced House God to go for some risky plays here with a Reasoning and then a Premature Burial into full back rows, and it just wasn't enough. And BLS came through to win the game there for WWW. So nice game there. Cool to see Reasoning Gate in not a mirror. I think this is the first time on the channel we've seen a Reasoning Gate deck play against more of a fair deck, so I hope you guys enjoyed seeing it from that perspective. More classic Reasoning Gate versus typical like Chaos stuff. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Let me know if you would have done anything differently as either duelist. And as always, I will catch you all next time.